Today's video is about propaganda, and I'm using that in the neutral meaning for the word, even though it has a negative connotation these days, because at one time it was considered a form of artwork, and it was treated more like advertising rather than being anything negative. It was treated as political advertising, that sort of thing. I want to point out that these days, what we say when we refer to propaganda is lying to the population to mislead them into tricking and doing things against their own best interests. That's how it's mostly used by people, not always, but mostly. And I want to point out that some population members, a little less than 50% apparently, have no problem with propaganda. And just a bit over half of it currently have a major problem with it. And should we censor it? Now, this is a viral image that you might have seen recently, and it's supposed to be from someone named MAGA Michelle S 69, saying they'll file police reports against anyone who screenshots their Twitter posts. Warning to liberals, you will be getting a visit from the state police and FBI. Okay, so if anybody's not aware of it, I'm the kind of person who'd post something just like this, just to get people, this is a great way to get people to visit your page. It's working on me. So let's see what we got here. First of all, this is a posting right here that says it's from this year, the current year, January 26, 2025, screenshotting it and basically saying it's a fake image. I want to point out that this is the image you see, and it shows that little arrow on the side in this case. And it doesn't include some of the obvious, like the time and date stamps or anything. I want to point out that if you don't have a URL and a link and everything, that's not going to work. Anyway, if you're not aware, this is showing an older image, so this would be much older than this year. Okay? All right, now let's look at MAGA Michelle S's 69's Twitter account. I'm not going to use the letter designation that Elon Musk changed it to. Let's see if this is a person self-promoting, if they're a Rust bot, a Rhino bot, Republican name-only bot, or an American bot. Or not a bot, and it's a real person. Or maybe worse, it's a real person, but they're doing bot stuff. Let's look at our first posting that we get up here. It's pinned, February 6th. This person wants it to be seen and wants to, quote, own the libs, etc. Now, if you're not aware of this behavior pattern, this is how you get people to go to your Twitter page or whatever else, TikTok. There's apparently a TikTok as well, to self-promote. This is a statement about Michelle Obama saying white folks are what's wrong with America. Now, this is minefield. This is landmine. This has got a booby trap in it. I'll be bringing it up in a minute. But this is a meme from 2015. This is over 10 years old, and this person's recycling it for the purpose of anger clicks and getting 361 responses so far. Now over here we got one from March 21st, 2025. Then we go here, we got one from 2024. Then it goes back to 2025. And, we get a fact check. Readers added context to this image. Yeah, because it's, again, it's propaganda. Propaganda, several definitions. One, again, you're advertising for a political party or whatever and pushing an agenda. Or two, you're doing things that are deliberately designed to cause damage to a population. Rust bot or not. Now, I want to point out, if you see someone that looks like this, that isn't necessarily the person. Yeah, people use other people's pictures all the time on the internet. And I want to point out that MAGA Michelle S 69 is not using a real name. That her name isn't MAGA. It may not be Michelle. The initial S may not be in her account. 69 is probably not her birth year. Okay? All right. That's, noise. Okay, I said it. So let's go on to our first fake news story this individual reposted. Again, that's Michelle Obama saying something terrible, and specifically it includes a reference to George Bush saying something. Yeah, it's old, but this person posted it again. You notice the time and date stamp here is at the bottom edge. So if somebody screenshotted this, like our good example over here that shows how not to do a fake image, they would have gotten the time and date stamp, top or bottom or whatever. Now, I do know that at one time, Twitter, when it was Twitter, would refuse to put up time and date stamps to make timeless postings. Doesn't that sound fluffy instead of I can recycle memes? So let's go on to PolitiFact and look that up. In 2015, Obama, they don't specify Michelle in the first sentence here. Stop doing it. Again, this is, if you're not aware of it, this is on PolitiFact. Dear PolitiFact, use the full name. Use the extra 8 bytes to do things correctly, for crying out loud. Anyway, Michelle Obama gave a commencement speech at a Alabama University, historically black one, in Tuskegee. Now, I'm not going to say the name of the website that faked this story, but they created a fake outrage story so that they could get the right wing to freak out in 2015. The right-wing website that pushes conspiracy theories, otherwise known as basically just propaganda designed to cause chaos and harm, published an article, aka propaganda, with the headline, "White folks in America are the problem. Michelle Obama addresses all-black university with divisive message." Later on, a few months later, the site repurposed the same story, this time with a new headline, "Michelle Obama says white folks are what's wrong with America." Now, I'm not going to read the rest of this PolitiFact because there's several other websites that refer to it at the bottom. I'll give a link to it, archived only link, and it will contain the links to everybody else debunking this. Okay, it's a real simple thing. Somebody posted a fake news story to create fake outrage, and then even the right-wing nitwits that fell for it realized, hey, I can use this to create more buzz. It has nothing to do with facts. It has to do with getting people to do what you want, no matter how obvious it is that you're lying. And I want to point out, if this happens to you for 50 years on both sides, if you listen to fake news stories and act on them, you're going to be kind of you've invested yourself in it. You're not going to allow yourself to acknowledge when you're being lied to. So here we go. This is from the website. Again, I'm not going to use the name of the website, but it ends in .co.il. You might want to look up where that goes to. And by the way, on PolitiFact, it also has a link to a video version and a White House archive transcript of the speech, which I will also include down below in the description. But anyway, let's go on to this one here. And this was a posting May 10th, 2015 with that statement. And it's on a website. I won't use their name because they used 4 letters in a sequence that YouTube will flag me for using. Yes, if I mention the name of a website and it includes 4 specific letters, they will flag me or derank the video, like I need that. So let's look at the second version of the story. Again, this was the May 10th, 2015. And this is the November 8th, 2015. Michelle Obama says white folks are what's wrong with America. So the story was fake from the beginning. It was fake in 2015 when this was posted, because if you look at the URL, it's 2015, blah, 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 blah. So again, MAGA Michelle S, 69, reposted a 10-year-old fake story, over 10 years old. Did this person bother looking it up? Should we assume they should? Should you? So let's move on to the next one. Another statement, MAGA Michelle S says, this is her claim here, Joe Biden, went by Robert L. Peters, a nom de plume. Okay, so he must have used that name, not like people would recognize him immediately. And this was done when he was vice president of the United States, and it had so he could get involved in illegal business dealings. Okay, this is the claim. This is your assertion. So we look up Joe Biden, and when I did Robert L. Peters, I found that it was an email address at pci.gov. Now I want to point out again the irony. This person who goes by MAGA Michelle S 69 isn't named that. So Michelle S is using a nom de plume, a website name that coincidentally uses the @ symbol for when you're communicating with her. And Joe Biden used an alias so that he could use an email account that did not show that it was Joe Biden. It would be just a random string of characters. None of you are guilty of this. Let's move on. Now here we see this article here. This is archive.gov, Files, Freedom of Information Act, para notifications PDF file, Biden vice president, and then a string of characters indicating 2026 and I guess 16th day. I don't know what that refers to. Sorry. Let's assume it's that. Anyway, PDF file. So it says here, Vice President Biden's Robert L. Peters at pci.gov email address had communications between him and Sarah F. Berlenbach, Jamie M. Wu, and John S. Flynn that mentioned Antony Blinken. This is between late 2016 and early January, 2017. So he'd have to be vice president during that time, and this would have to be for doing business dealings involving his son and Ukraine, according to, again, MAGA Michelle. So first things here, we'll figure out that time and date stamp, but October 1st through January 1st is the only time range we're given here. This is the only basis for this claim, okay? Okay. I want to point out that this is showing it's a recent file, but this is stuff that happened October, let's say October, November, December, January. So that's a 3-month period of time we can confirm that Joe Biden used Robert L. Peters at PCI.gov. Okay. Joe Biden was vice president from 2009 to 2017, January 20th. So this was used in a very narrow range at the ass end of him being vice president. So congratulations, MAGA Michelle. You said something that isn't complete bullshit. However, saying he went by Robert L. Peters is not the same as he used an email address with a false name on it so that he wouldn't be as easily trackable, or like you do, to make sure you have some privacy. Meanwhile, Trump's impeachment for a phone call to Ukraine was him attempting to do influence peddling as a private citizen at the time. And also as president. And this is a posting you did back in 2023. I guess maybe you're singing a different tune now that Donald Trump is actually selling pardons and doing literally every possible thing to say, the law doesn't apply to me, I will break them. And he even says that out loud, and then he breaks the law and we catch him. So anyway, so you got 1 for 1 here. Okay, cool. So let's go back here to MAGA Michelle. And you could go ahead and look at her, x.com/MAGA Michelle S69. And noise, I said it again, I'm sorry. And you can look at her getting fact-checked, readers added context, her posting things that aren't true, and you can judge for yourself whether or not this is an America bot, a Russ bot, hell, who knows what country, or whether or not that's actually her face, because, again, she used a different image before that looks like it's consistent. Is this a real person? Is it a bot? Or is it a deluded American? Or is it just somebody, shit posting like everybody else does on the internet? Now, I want to point out this here and this statement here. This looks like somebody self-promoting. So you got what you wanted, Michelle S. Next, no, I'm not going to do reverse image search and all that crap. That's not relevant. What's relevant here is you've had this X user account since 2021, and it appears that you do almost nothing but antagonize people politically to get Americans to fight each other. Slav Ukraine. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll all need it. Bye.